Hello and welcome to Drama Recaps. Today, we're diving into the movie Cast Away. Be warned, there are spoilers ahead. We open with a FedEx package, adorned with angel wings, being received by a man. He mentions that it's from his wife, even though he's in the company of another woman. Enter Chuck, our protagonist, an executive systems analyst for FedEx, renowned for his dedication to his job. His commitment takes him across the globe, and we find him in Russia, focused on improving the efficiency of a FedEx hub. To gauge their efficiency, he sent a package to himself from Memphis, America to Nikola, Russia. This package, carried by a young boy, contains a clock which records the time taken to deliver the package, 87 hours, 22 minutes, and 17 seconds. For Chuck, this duration is unacceptable. Chuck Noland is a man obsessed with punctuality and schedules. Despite his hectic professional life, he maintains a loving relationship with his girlfriend, Kelly. From Russia, he calls Kelly, informing her he'll be home in Memphis in roughly 18 hours. Reunited in the US, Chuck and Kelly attend the grand Noland family Christmas dinner. The topic of marriage is brought up, but they both laugh it off. Amidst the celebrations, Chuck feels a toothache and realizes he needs to visit a dentist. But, as a dedicated worker, his pager goes off, indicating his work calls yet again. Chuck confirms he has to leave, but promises to return before New Year's Eve. At the airport, Kelly gives Chuck an old family watch as a Christmas present. In return, Chuck gives her a small box, which she assumes contains a ring. Chuck insists they'll open it together on New Year's Eve. Chuck boards a flight to Malaysia with 4 other crew members. In the midst of the journey, a storm brews. Communication with the ground control is lost, and suddenly, there's an explosion. As the plane plummets into the Pacific Ocean, Chuck, fighting to survive, manages to escape using an emergency inflatable raft. Surviving the crash and harsh ocean waves, Chuck washes up on a deserted island. He still has the watch Kelly gave him, and a few FedEx packages that also washed ashore. Alone and stranded, he creates a help sign on the sand and hopes to be spotted by passing planes. Chuck finds some coconuts and takes shelter in a cave, marking the end of his first day on the island. The following day, he finds more washed-up packages and starts to adapt to his new surroundings. Next, Chuck climbs to the highest point on the island for a panoramic view of his surroundings. Spotting something in the water, he races down to discover it's the deceased pilot who attempted to save him during the crash. Out of respect, Chuck buries the pilot, ending his second day isolated on the island. He spends his nights gazing at Kelly's picture inside the watch she gifted him. On the third evening, he spots a distant ship. He yells and shines a small torchlight at it, but his efforts go unnoticed due to the distance. In a desperate bid to reach the ship, Chuck takes his damaged raft to the sea. The strong tides overpower him, leading to a painful injury on a coral reef and forcing him back to the island. As rain begins to pour, he seeks refuge in the cave he discovered earlier. Inside the cave, he finds a small stream, providing him with fresh drinking water. Exhausted, he falls asleep as his torchlight fades. The next day, Chuck rummages through the FedEx packages in search of anything useful. He finds a volleyball, skating boots, and a dress. All packages are opened except one adorned with angel wings. He decides to keep it sealed as a form of motivation and hope. After erecting a small tent, Chuck struggles to light a fire, resulting in a hand injury. Frustrated, he vents his anger by throwing items around, unintentionally smearing blood on the volleyball. He draws a face on it, thus creating Wilson, his new companion. After this episode, he successfully lights a fire. Chuck's spirits are lifted as he dances around the fire and enjoys a crab meal while conversing with Wilson. However, his joy is short-lived when a severe toothache strikes. He resorts to using the skating boots and a rock for a painful self-extraction, causing him to pass out. Fast forward 4 years, Chuck is unrecognizable with his long hair and beard. One day, a loud noise wakes Chuck from his sleep. He discovers a broken piece of a plastic door, which he takes back to his cave. Studying the plastic fragment, Chuck conceives an idea. He's been tracking time with a self-made monthly chart and decides to escape the island in April when the sea conditions would be more favorable. In preparation, Chuck begins building a raft from wood and ropes made from tree bark. When he runs out of rope, he uses cassette reels to bind the wood together. In need of additional rope for his raft, Chuck goes to the highest point on the island. It's revealed that during his 4 years in solitude, Chuck had considered ending his own life but ultimately didn't go through with it. Now, the same rope he had intended for that purpose is repurposed for his survival. He secures the plastic sheet to his raft, forming a sail. With a heartfelt message left on a rock, Chuck and Wilson set sail, battling against fierce waves. Chuck manages to keep the raft afloat, thinking he has finally overcome his hardships. He stays aboard for several days, relying on rainwater and fish for sustenance. One night, a violent storm damages the raft and separates him from Wilson. Overcome with panic and grief, Chuck spots Wilson drifting further away. Despite a desperate attempt to retrieve him while maintaining his grip on the raft, he fails to reach Wilson. The loss of his only companion for the past 4 years hits Chuck hard, and he mourns deeply. The raft is damaged and Wilson is lost, leaving Chuck in despair. Weakened and sick, he hardly notices the whale spraying water nearby, let alone the passing cargo ship. It's only when he finally opens his eyes that he sees the ship and is eventually rescued. 4 weeks later, Chuck is on his way home, eager to reunite with his family and Kelly. He learns from a friend that they held a funeral in his absence, assuming he was dead. Upon landing, he meets a stranger who introduces himself as Kelly's husband. Speechless, Chuck processes the information that Kelly, who he held close in his thoughts while surviving on the island, had moved on. His loved ones throw a party to celebrate his return. Afterwards, he finds himself contemplating a lobster, reminded of the crabs he ate on the island, and a lighter, which was a necessity for his survival. He struggles to adjust, even preferring the floor over his bed. He stares at Kelly's watch, the same one he's kept all these years. Needing closure, Chuck takes a taxi to Kelly's house. Before he can knock, Kelly opens the door, inviting him in. Overwhelmed, she hugs him, and he returns her watch, much to her surprise. Since it's a family heirloom, he insists she keeps it. Kelly shows him that she kept his car after he went missing and hands him the keys. They share a tender moment and a kiss, but she pulls away. As Chuck starts to drive away, Kelly realizes she has more to say and chases after him. They meet again outside the car and share a passionate kiss. Kelly confesses that after 4 years of him being lost, she had to let go. She insists she will always love him, and Chuck reciprocates her sentiment. Yet, they both understand the reality of their situation. It's too late for them to rekindle their relationship and Kelly can't abandon her family. They agree to part ways. At the film's conclusion, we see Chuck driving. His mission is to deliver all the packages he had opened while stranded on the island. Arriving at a house but finding no one there, he leaves a package at the door with a note: "This package saved my life. Thank you, Chuck Noland." On his way back, Chuck stops to consult a map, wondering about his next destination. Just then, a woman stops her car and offers to help. Chuck inquires about where the road leads to, and after she answers, she returns to her vehicle. As she drives away, Chuck spots the familiar angel wings on the back of her truck, identical to the ones on the package he didn't open on the island. Realizing that this very package, the source of his motivation and will to survive, belonged to this woman, he is struck with a sense of serendipity. Recalling the woman's circumstances from the start of the movie, Chuck can't help but wonder if she might be single. This is the end of the movie. Let me know what you think about this movie in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss the release of new content. Thanks for watching.